when we have the willingness to see life this way and the willingness to embark on these quests, on these pilgrimages, then we create a different world, not just for ourselves, but for everybody.
We've all come here with a divine purpose, traveling on a stream of cosmic dust from the stars into our mother's wombs, born into this precious life. It is no accident that you are here, my love, on earth, in this moment, in this body. You are here longing to find your place, to align with your purpose, to embody your passions and to live into the dreams of your heart. Yet so often we get caught, suspended in the tangle of life, not able to move forward, not able to find solace and comfort in a world that has forgotten the truth of our existence. As we begin to remember, as we peel back the layers, as we come together to uncover our unique gifts and reconnect with our authentic selves, we are able to see another way of being, a new possibility, a different life waiting to be lived. I have experienced on this complicated and wild journey of life that when we connect with the story of our soul, it will show us the magic of this life that we have been missing. It will open a window into the very heart of who we truly are, of who we came here to be, and gives us answers to our ever-asking why.
Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to our episode today. And I am out walking while I am recording this because I'm finding more and more that creating in the moment is true and correct. And that waiting to sit on my couch or sit at my computer just isn't as in flow. And those of you that know me know that I am deeply devoted to always doing what I love. And one of the things I absolutely love is running in the forest with my dog by the river. And these are some of the most inspiring times, actually, when I'm out on the land. And those of you that are in our Paid Water Rising on Substack, you know a lot of my episodes are out on the land. And so here I am on a Friday out on the land. And I'm inspired today to share with you a story. I recently got back from a trip with my mom and my kids to the UK. We specifically went to England and Wales, and England is the land of my heritage, of my birth. And I have lived away from it for many, many decades. And it felt true and correct to head back on what we termed a pilgrimage. And it truly was a opportunity for ancestral healing, for family line reconstruction, for energetic sovereignty, for really just closing up karmic loops of the past. And prior to going, I was specifically engaged in ceremony and in deep spiritual work around some of these ancestral and family line wounds that have been part of my lineage for thousands of years, probably. So the story I want to share today is a part of this. So in the hope that it inspires you on your journey, right? On this healing journey, on this spiritual journey, the path that we are all walking to uncover the greatness that lives within us, right? It's always there. It never left you. It never went anywhere. It just got covered up. So this process, right, is of unraveling, unfurling, unlayering, to come down to the core, to the truth, to the authenticity that lays and lies in our center. And it's always there, always available when we search and reach for it. So 2 weeks prior to embarking on our pilgrimage, it was the new moon. And I was actually out camping by myself in the forest, in the trees, and I had my Misha with me, which is my shamanic medicine bundle. It is one of the tools I use with my work. And I was sitting in meditation by the river, and one of my kuyas, which are medicine stones, asked to go to England with me. And what I was also told in that moment was that when I go, the day we had planned to pass through the town that I grew up in was actually the day of the next full moon, 2 weeks away. And I hadn't really thought about that. I hadn't absorbed that information. But it became clear to me in that moment when I was talking with my Misha, and this stone specifically said, you need to go to your house and you need to leave me there, as in the closing of a cycle is in a completion. And so I decided to prepare those 2 weeks and have that stone sit on my altar, and I was going to take it with me and leave it. And gosh, the last time I had been to that town was probably 25 years ago, and I was just passing through. But we had specifically wanted to go back there because there was a lot that happened at that house. My dad struggled with mental illness. There was a lot of unsettling things that have happened in my past at that house. And that house was asking us to come back, and it was asking to complete a cycle in our family history and lineage. And how the story gets even more synchronistic is that the morning that we were going to the house, okay, I'll back up a moment, because 5 years ago, when I got a deep, deep call to leave my marriage, the number that started following me was the number 101. And the message that came with it is these numbers are 10 and 1 together. And in numerology, if you're familiar with numerology, then 10 is the completion of a cycle and 1 is the beginning of a new cycle. And so these numbers were put together and given to me as in the end is the beginning. And at that time, it was the end of my marriage, was the beginning of the next iteration of my life and my identity and my journey. And for the last 5 years, those numbers have followed me as I have just deepened this path, and it has always come with a different significance, but they were initially given to me when I answered this call. And at the time, I did not know the extent of the journey that I was about to embark on. And the me that is standing here today talking to you is a very distant, or the me that was back then is a very distant and opaque version of the me that stands here today talking to you, leaving for this episode. And we left the place that we were staying and started heading to the house in the morning, and we were probably going to get there about 9:45. And we had driven that road the night before because we had gone and seen some old friends and had dinner down the street from the house, and there was a detour, but we knew that it had a stoplight and then you could just come and go. So we headed back to the house that morning. We were supposed to arrive around 9:45, but there was a different detour and the road was closed. And what this ended up we had to do was turn the car around and drive all the way around. And as we were approaching the house, I looked at the clock and the time was 10:10. Which is 101. And as we pulled up out front of the house, it turned to 10:11. And this significance was not lost on me, right? I embarked on a journey 5 years ago, 5 summers ago, that led me into a deep, deep exploration of everything that happened to me as a kid. I'd already been on that path, but this was a deepening beyond anything that I had ever expected or probably even thought I was signing up for, to be honest. But here we are. And the significance of that moment, that as I am arriving here to complete this generational cycle, this ancestral cycle, that 101 was on the clock. And we stood outside the house and nobody was home. I left my stone. My mom did her piece. The kids did their piece. We held a mini ceremony on the sidewalk, as you can, and as we did. And I felt it in my whole being, this closure, this completion, that it was done. Done was done. And there was a lightness, there was just a shift, an entire shift of identity, right? Something was shed. It was left there in that moment. 5 years in the making that I had no idea when I first saw 101 and answered that call that it was time to live a different life, that it was time to walk a different path. And I knew how incredibly difficult it would be given the circumstances that I was currently in. And yet I answered that call. And this is where it led me, where it not only enhanced my life, but it has changed my children's lives, and it has changed their children's lives, and it has changed my ancestors' lives, and has changed my dad and his whole family. And this is the importance of this work. This is what we are doing, right? We are not just on this path for ourselves and our own glorification and our own merit, but we are here on this path that is just such a bigger tapestry where we are all woven together, and the things that we choose to do, the calls that we choose to answer, the courage that we find within ourselves to do it differently and to choose the hard path, to take the challenges. This really is the point. This is why we're here. This is what this life is about. And when we have the willingness to see life this way and the willingness to embark on these quests, on these pilgrimages, then we create a different world, not just for ourselves, but for everybody. And so as you listen to this story, I invite you to feel for the thread that is yours. Where is the story that is yours to tell, the story that is yours to live, the thing that you came here to do, the thing that is yours to unravel that only you can do. And when you decide no one can stop you, and it is your devotion, and it is your commitment to yourself and to this planet, to this whole world, that makes a difference. I love you.